Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, we're going to talk to a life coach for professional women who's going to talk about the importance of self-care. Her story just ahead.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, the pandemic has been brutal for professional women. Many were put in a position of having to choose between their work and their family because the boss would not allow them to work remote. In general, women are burning the candle at both ends and in the middle. To talk about that today, Diana Guintu. She is a life coach for professional women. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So people watching this say, well, men get burnout too, but there's different challenges facing women, aren't there?
Absolutely. I think as women, we want to balance our family with our work, our career. So like you said, we're trying to do it all for all the people.
Yeah, and my experience is women don't give themselves enough grace. They're trying to be, the overachiever at the office, the overachiever at home. There's a lot of self-guilt. Oh, I missed this soccer game. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think as women, we are very hard on our own expectations of ourselves. And I think that a lot of the women that I work with, we come from a long line of women who have shown us to sacrifice ourselves. And so when we become moms and we're trying to manage our careers, we try to be the best in both areas. And eventually, it's not sustainable.
Yeah, I want to talk about your book. Let's put the cover up on the screen. I love the name, Breaking Free, Transforming Your Chaos into Long-Lasting Sense of Calm by Putting Truth First. Talk about the book.
Yeah, so I was one of those moms that was burnt out. I found myself just, not feeling joy, struggling with who I was after motherhood. And I really found that it was because I had forgotten that I mattered. I'd forgotten that I was also important in my own life. And so I decided to go on this quest to find myself and to really reconnect with who I was. And through that, I had to kind of work through some trauma and really get to a place of healing for myself. And as I went through this journey, I decided to share my journey because I realized that so many women were stuck in that chaos.
Sure. And I know you work with women one-on-one and you have groups here in Dallas, but every once in a while you do get out on a retreat. We're going to show some pictures, and I want you to talk about this. You call it restoration.
Yes. I think it's important as women to really find time to reconnect with who you are, with other like-minded women. And I always like to tell my clients, I don't just tell you what to do, but I also like to walk the talk. And so I just came back from Costa Rica from a restoration retreat where I was there to replenish and restore myself before kind of like making this year the best year. And so you see me there relaxing and really just restoring because we give so much of ourselves in our work and our family that it's important to look at what you're doing for yourself as well.
Sure. I read on your website something that I want you to dive deep on, 3 secrets to removing emotional blocks. What's an emotional block?
So I think an emotional block is based on a belief system. A lot of times we have belief systems that really create these emotions. For example, like taking care of myself is selfish, right? A lot of us believe that, and even just this week, I talked to so many women talking about that they want to feel better, but they feel really selfish. And so an emotional block really comes down from a belief that we have that is no longer serving us.
So somebody told me one time that you can have everything you want, you can't have it all at the same time. I mean, is that true? So for the professional woman who is trying to climb the corporate ladder, also be perfect mom, perfect wife, perfect everything, there's only so many hours in the day.
Exactly. And I think that one of the philosophies that I had to learn was that, I know we hear this all the time, put your oxygen mask first, and we kind of roll our eyes like, okay, but really, it really does mean a lot. If you can start to really heal yourself, really focus on caring for yourself and putting yourself first, right? Depositing into yourself, you're going to be able to really give more to your work, to your loved ones. So putting yourself first is actually helping others.
And Diana is a very popular speaker. She put together a sizzle reel a few years ago. Let's go ahead and roll that.
How do you find time to prioritize yourself? I know you're busy. You're running around town trying to balance your home life, your work life. You're trying to raise good kids. You're trying to be a good mom, a good wife, a good friend. And then you hear that now you have to self-care. You have to take care of yourself too. The important thing about self-care is that you're doing something that brings you joy, that makes you happy. It's almost impossible to add one more thing to your to-do list. I get it. You're already busy. You're already waking up feeling overwhelmed, anxious, and when you finish your day, you're tired and exhausted. And in the back of your mind, there's a little voice that is telling you you're failing. There must be something wrong with you. And maybe you're just not good enough. Maybe that person over there that we see self-caring is special, right? At least that's what I think. Like, they're part of the VIP club, I'm not. I grew up where self-sacrifice and silence were modeled by the women in my life. So when I was sexually abused, I stayed quiet. I struggled to find my voice. When I was struggling with an eating disorder, I pretended like nothing was wrong. When I started suffering from postpartum depression, I was lost. I was confused. And I knew that there had to be a better way, a way out, because I knew that I wanted peace. I wanted joy. So in the midst of my pain and my struggle, I realized that I had to start to put myself first. You have to make a habit, right, of making small little acts of kindness towards yourself. I am on a mission to empower other women out there to learn the power of prioritizing themselves, to learn and to uncover that they matter, that they're important too, and that when they self-care, they can open up to a life of calm, of joy, and fulfillment.
I can see why you're such a great coach, because you have had a lot of things in your life that make you very relatable. When you work with a professional woman, tell us what that engagement looks like. How often do you coach them? What does that look like?
It depends, but usually we start off with weekly calls and really taking them through what is their belief system that is holding them back. A lot of us have a lot of beliefs that we hold to be true that are no longer serving in our life. And so helping them through that mindset growth, really identifying what do they need to release, and then also doing some healing work, right? Because a lot of times the reason why we're really at a place of pain is because we haven't gone through some healing that we need to, so we can let go of the things that no longer serve us. And then really putting an action plan in place so that they can build habits that support this new life, this new, what I call empowered version of themselves, so they can live more fulfilled.
Sure, and I think part of it is having an accountability partner, because if your client is going to meet with you the next week, they can't keep saying, well, I didn't get around to it, or I didn't.
Exactly. And I always tell people, most women desire, right? We have the desire to change, to get better, to feel better. But what keeps us stuck in the waiting room is what I refer to is that how. How do I get out of it? And having a coach really helps with that accountability piece and that mastery.
Sure. I want to get your reaction to something. I didn't make this up, but somebody said a man's brain and a woman's brain is different in that in a man's brain there are these compartments, and a woman's brain is like spaghetti. Everything touches everything. So if I had a fight with my wife right before this show, I could actually put it in a box and say, I will think about that later.
Right.
Whereas a woman is, am I right?
Yeah, I would agree. And, I think a lot of times, like, if we are failing in one area, that really bleeds to all other areas. I talk to a lot of women that are struggling with family life, and then they start to feel insecure at work and, insecure in just like their body, who they are. So I would agree with that. I think that everything sort of connects with everything else.
Okay, we're almost out of time, Diana. So your camera is there on the left. Talk to the woman who's watching this who says, I think I might need Diana. What do you want to say to her?
Well, one, I want to encourage you to take that first step. It's always hard, and I always tell women, it's okay, because in the beginning you will feel selfish, you will feel guilty, but it is through that journey that you will find yourself, and you're going to come out just feeling so much more empowered.
Outstanding. You've been a great guest. We're going to have you back again soon. We're going to end with her website, which is dianaguintuspeaks.com. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
That's it for now. We'll see you next time.